Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well and staying safe during this time. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Like I said, thank you so much for checking me out. If you haven't done so, please make sure to hit that subscribe button just right below the video. Cool, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thanks again for your support. I truly do appreciate having you here.
An XRP community member who also is a writer for Forbes, he had some very pointed words for certain individuals within the XRP community. Here's the question. Is XRP benefiting from the Russia-Ukraine war? Well, first of all, no. And second of all, part of what he pointed out, I'm going to show you in just a second here, and I think he hits the nail on the head. He said a lot of stuff that I've been saying too, so I just want to kind of echo that message again. Look, it's just some comments, having to do with the issue of this war and XRP. They come off as if people are excited about the potential for XRP, and it's just a bad look. To be clear, though, I'm not arguing that you shouldn't be aware of how this impacts your personal finances. I'm not saying it. It's not the most important thing. The most important thing, obviously, is the human toll, the pain that all this is causing, the actual death. That's horrendous. So I understand. Of course, that's number one for any reasonable human, right? But it doesn't mean that you can't think about, or that you shouldn't think about how this might impact you and anything that you're investing in. You'd have to be an idiot to not consider that, and to think through it. It's only logical and reasonable to do so. I'm just saying that there are some people that seemed a little bit too gleeful about their misunderstanding of how this would impact or not impact XRP. That's really all that I'm saying. And also, BitBoy Crypto, he put out a video this evening where he was talking about the implications of SWIFT, which has largely cut Russia out of the network. Not 100%, but he was saying he posed a question yesterday, which I'll share with you my thoughts on it too, because I actually retweeted and shared some stuff. But he was asking, what are the implications of XRP as far as this is going down? And so I made a video yesterday where I was talking about that. I think it was yesterday anyway, where I was talking about some general stuff to do with that, but I've got some add-ons for that, and I want to share with you what BitBoy Crypto had to say, because he put out a video this evening, and actually I thought he did a fine job. I mean, somewhat frequently I find when he's talking about XRP, I just... nothing personal against him, of course. He's fine in my book. I just happen to find that I frequently disagree with some of his analysis in terms of what's happening with Ripple and XRP and the lawsuit and stuff like that. But that's okay, nothing personal, just gentleman's disagreement stuff there. But on this particular point, I think he pretty well nailed it. I watched this 15-minute video, and I was like, well, I don't really have anything notable to critique on it, but I do have some thoughts to add. So, anyway, plenty to discuss, but I want to clear at the outset, I don't have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, on this idea of XRP benefiting from what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, again, like I said at the outset, it's not benefiting, and you can even look at the price. XRP's just been moving in tandem with the rest of the market, and so some people weren't just talking about the price right now, this second. They're thinking about the broader implications in terms of adoption, and this is where people start to go off the rails here, and I think they just have a misunderstanding of what's going on. And so here's a very short thread from Thomas Silkjair. This is the XRP community member who also is a writer for Forbes. And he said a lot of stuff that I've been saying lately, and so I thought I'd highlight this because he did a very good job, and I share his perspective on this completely. So here's what he wrote. personal comment. In the light of recent news of SWIFT cutting out Russia, there's been several comments of the situation benefiting XRP. These comments, besides being revolting and tasteless by many lengths, is largely based on ignorance and lack of understanding. Let me just pause at one tiny critique on this. As far as SWIFT cutting out Russia, not 100% true. There are a lot of banks that aren't going to be able to participate within the SWIFT network, but I have learned that any bank transaction having to do with payment of Russia's oil supplies by any sort of nation around there, because all sorts of nations are purchasing, even in that region, Russia's oil, that's still going through. So that tells you a lot about what you need to know in terms of how serious people over there are about doing anything to stop this. They have these, in theory, tough sanctions, except for when it comes to the primary export of Russia, because it would harm them too, because these nations are not energy independent. So it is what it is, though. But anyway, that's just a small critique, but he's nailed it there. So anyway, he continues, though. He wrote, "There are shills in the crypto community solely reacting to keywords rather than facts, and in this case are careless about the situation and completely disconnected from reality. Mind who you listen to. While no one can ban anyone from using decentralized blockchains directly, any solutions built on top to move fiat cross borders is not. Fiat has to turn into crypto in the sending end and back to fiat in the receiving end. These on and off ramps, the exchanges, are heavily regulated, and many have been proactive in monitoring UA/RU based traffic since the invasion started. Don't think for a second that blockchains are an easy alternative for SWIFT for moving fiat." Yeah, and so that's in line with what I've been sharing. I've pointed out a couple times on this channel now, and it's worth repeating. Like these blockchains, like the XRP ledger, they're public, and yes, I understand they're privacy coins, but even then, you can kind of see what splinters off from them. You can track, like the FBI has figured out. I mentioned this the other day. That huge story where $3.6 billion worth of Bitcoin was, I believe it was all recovered. They found the private keys from these hackers from several years back. Well, they were trying to launder it utilizing privacy coins, and it didn't work. There are ways that you can track the flow of money despite this all anyway. And so I just pointed out, especially with public blockchains like Bitcoin and XRP Ledger, you can impose sanctions on people that are using that or not using that. And as far as SWIFT getting cut off, look, and I've got a tweet on this I'll share with you, but if two nations want to conduct business in any manner, including moving value around, they can do it. So anyway, what Thomas Silkjay here, though, said, I think he's just hitting the nail on the head completely. And again, it's not to say that you can't talk about what the implications are for your personal finances as a result of what happened. No, you should always be aware of how, politics the world over might impact your personal finance. It's not like bad stuff happens and you're not allowed to worry about your financial well-being. Of course you are. Of course you are. I'm just saying there's some people that have said some things, and it's just if it's appearing gleeful, you might want to check yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so I retweeted that and I wrote, "This is correct. I've been saying the same thing." And then somebody named Stock Thought Generator wrote to me and said, "It just seems a little bit unrealistic that Ripple, a proud US-based company, would be aiding a country that's currently being sanctioned by the US." So, of course, he's referencing Russia there. And yes, I agree. That actually would be quite strange. But look, in terms of, and I've mentioned this, I may have said it in this thread too, I can't remember now because I mapped out this video earlier, but it's up to the financial institutions out there to abide by the law, including KYC, AML, all that stuff, including sanctions. It's up to the individual financial institutions in their respective nations to make sure that they comply. And so Ripple, like whether you're using Swift or RippleNet, that doesn't change. It functionally doesn't matter from that perspective. And so, no, this isn't going to be something, I don't even know if there are specific corridors, there aren't any on-demand liquidity corridors touching Russia. If there are corridors just from a messaging perspective with RippleNet, that may be the case. I don't know, there are a bunch more corridors with just the messaging. I don't have them all committed to memory, though. And then somebody named Brian responded to that and wrote, "My point being, nobody can stop Russia from using XRP." And I responded with the following. I wrote, "A nation using XRP to avoid sanctions will still face repercussions from other nations as the XRP blockchain is public and transactions are viewable by all." So, not that Brian's wrong, I was just pointing out something additionally. When he wrote, yeah, nobody can stop him from using it, true. But, since you can, again, track those flows, what do you think nations are going to do if that actually happened? Not that there's an indication that they would utilize XRP specifically, but still, just an interesting thought exercise. And so then Stock Thought Generator jumped back and he said, "The hope is that they don't use XRP or any other digital asset for that matter. Crypto being utilized by Russia to avoid sanctions won't help with worldwide adoption and is a negative for crypto as a whole." Then Brian wrote, "Precisely, I'm 100% with you there." And then I added the following. I wrote, "If two nations want to exchange value with one another, then it will happen with or without crypto. I agree that the uneducated may view this as crypto being bad, but that is a perspective that is wholly incorrect." And so consider this. If there are two banks within nations that want to set up relationships with one another, if those two nations are happy to conduct business in such a fashion, then they can do it. They can create their own network and just do that and just have those relationships. So you can't stop them there either. Now, when you're cutting out of Swift, yes, I understand. So you're talking about a major portion of the correspondent banking system, right? Crazy amount of money flows through each. I understand that, and but I'm just saying, if you want to, if you're Russia, you build relationships with whoever is willing to have relationships with you, and there's things that you can do still. So whether it's crypto or not crypto, that's still the case regardless. And so I did agree with Stock Thought Generator as far as the optics being bad. I agree with that. I was just pointing out in addition to that, and I do agree with them. I was just saying that it's, like I said, the uneducated may view this as crypto being bad, but this is a perspective that just isn't accurate. It's not crypto being bad, and it's trackable. Think about that. And then Stock Thought Generator wrote, "It gives the anti-crypto crowd more ammunition to spout their misinformed rhetoric. But as you said, the perspective is incorrect, and the adoption of digital assets will help more than it could hurt." And he's right there. I agree. That's why I hearted the comment. So I just thought it was an interesting and fun conversation, just like as far as the thought exercise portion of it. And then here's this tweet. This is yesterday from Ben Armstrong, who runs the BitBoy Crypto YouTube channel. I believe they're the second largest crypto YouTube channel on the planet. I think he's got somewhere approaching 1.5 million subscribers at this point, which is rather impressive. And so he tweeted out the following just last night. "Russia getting cut off from the SWIFT system. XRP Army. explain, where does XRP fit into this? And really, frankly, it doesn't. And it's not that swift, cut off Russia and the entire country. And then you got to think, what do you mean when you say that too? Just consider, you're talking about individual financial institutions within the country. It's not like we're not talking about specifically this, Russia's central bank. We're talking about specific banks that did get cut off. But there are all sorts of financial institutions in every country around the world that interact with each other. So when you say the country, just understand you're actually talking about a bunch of banks and other financial institutions specifically. And so where does XRP fit into this? Well, there are no corridors, on-demand liquidity corridors, touching them, and then there's no indication at this point, and it's probably going to stay like this, would be my guess. There's no indication that they'd use XRP even outside of anything having to do with Ripple. They can. There's nothing to stop them. It's XRP Ledger. It's a permissionless blockchain. I just don't think that's going to happen. And so I retweeted that from BitBoy Crypto, Ben Armstrong, and I wrote the following. Financial institutions have the same legal requirements regarding KYC, AML, sanctions, etc., regardless of which networks are used to facilitate payment/settlement. So again, whether it's RippleNet or Swift, etc. Same legal requirements.
I'm your guy. I will keep you posted. I'm your advocate. I'll be back on a daily basis, usually multiple times per day, with these videos to keep you updated with everything going on. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't done so, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Feel free to share any of my videos with your friends, family, social media, or anybody who may care to listen. Thanks so much for your continued support. I'm always here for you. I want to help you through this time. So thank you so much for continuing to choose me. Enjoy your day, stay safe, and I'll catch you again probably in a couple hours. Thanks, everybody. See you later.